You know the look. Black leather, that snarl, a guitar that just cuts right through you. That's Joan Jett. But her story, it's so much more than just an image or a sound. It's really a masterclass in what it means to be a rebel. So let's get into it.
People have called her the godmother of punk, the queen of rock and roll. But behind all those titles, well, that's where you find the real story of a musician who is constantly told, sorry, there's just no place for you here.
I mean, seriously, what do you do when an entire industry refuses to even give you a shot? Well, if you're Joan Jett, you don't just knock on the door. You kick it down, and you build your own damn room. And that is the story we're going to talk about. Her laser-focused vision for what rock and roll should be started early, like way before the fame and the leather jackets. It all started with her very first guitar.
Okay, so picture this. She's just 13 years old, she gets her first guitar, and she signs up for lessons. Sounds pretty standard, right? Well, the instructor insisted on teaching her folk songs. Things like On Top of Old Smoky. Joan Jett? No. She wanted to play loud, powerful, raw rock music. So she quit. Right from the very beginning, she knew what she wanted and she was not going to compromise.
So then, at just 16, she co-founds the Runaways. This was a completely groundbreaking all-female rock band that proved, they could play just as hard as any of the guys. And they didn't just play, they hit the road with some of the biggest names in rock history.
Just think about that lineup for a second. The Ramones, Van Halen, Tom Petty, these weren't just random gigs. This was a statement. The Runaways weren't just some novelty opening act. They were out there earning their stripes, shoulder to shoulder, with absolute legends.
But here's the really wild part. While the Runaways were becoming huge, massively popular over in Europe and Japan, they just couldn't get that same level of respect or success back home in the States. So when the band eventually fell apart in 1979, Jett was kind of left on her own trying to figure out, okay, what's next?
And honestly, this is the point where the story could have just ended. The Runaways were done. Joan Jett was more than ready to launch her solo career. But, the music industry, it had other plans.
So she and her producer, Kenny Laguna, took her debut solo album, the one that would become the legendary Bad Reputation, to every single major label you can think of. And the answer they got back? It was a loud, clear, universal no.
23. Let that sink in. That's how many record labels rejected her. 23 times, she was told that a female rocker fronting her own band just couldn't sell records. So she had a choice. She could either give up, or she could find another way.
And you can probably guess which one she chose. In what was just the ultimate act of defiance, Jett and Laguna said, fine, we'll do it ourselves. They started their own independent label, Blackheart Records. And they funded it by betting on everything, literally including her producer's daughter's college savings. They put it all on the line for music that nobody else would touch.
And that bet? It paid off in a way that I don't think anyone could have possibly imagined. And it all came down to this one song, a song she'd actually heard years before and just knew was going to be a hit.
Now check out this timeline. Jett first heard I Love Rock and Roll all the way back in 1976 while she was on tour in the UK. She held on to that song in her back pocket for 5 years because she believed in it so much. When she finally got to record it with her new band, the Blackhearts, the same industry that had shut her out had no choice but to sit up and listen.
And boy, did they listen. The song wasn't just a hit, it was a complete cultural takeover. Just look at these numbers. It stayed at #1 on the Billboard charts for 7 straight weeks. The album itself rocketed to #2. This wasn't just success, this was total, undeniable vindication.
And decades later, its legacy was officially set in stone. That Grammy Hall of Fame induction, it wasn't just for a catchy tune. It was a recognition for an anthem of defiance that she had to literally fight to even get recorded.
But her impact goes so much deeper than just one massive song. Her legacy is really woven into the very fabric of what rock and roll is. Every legendary guitarist has their weapon of choice. For Joan Jett, it was this iconic white Gibson Melody Maker. This is more than just an instrument, it's a genuine piece of rock history. And you can just hear the connection in her own words. This one guitar, it powered all of those career-defining hits. It was the tool she used to carve out her own space in a world that basically told her she wasn't welcome. And her influence, it just spread everywhere. Of course, she was inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. She became a massive inspiration for the whole riot girl feminist punk movement.
But then she's also an acclaimed actress and a truly dedicated activist for causes she's passionate about, from animal rights all the way to supporting the troops. So when you look at the whole picture, it's pretty clear. Joan Jett didn't just write some hit songs. She completely rewrote the rules for what a woman in rock and roll could be, what she could do. She took rejection and turned it into a record label, a career, and a legacy that's still going strong.
Her whole story is just this incredible testament to perseverance. And it really makes you wonder, right? How many other game-changing voices, how many anthems are out there right now, just waiting for somebody brave enough to defy that one little word, no.